Hello, class, and welcome to our 13th lecture series on international finance. And I'm your instructor, Jamal. Hi there. So before going to, the deep down into this lecture stuff, I have a very nice quotation, as usual, when we do in our live lecture. So this is just for your motivation, okay? And I want you to read it by yourself. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Here we go. So as we have decided that our final exam is going to be December 28th, okay? And the timing most probably is the same from 6:15 or 6:32 onward. So not more than 2.5 hours. I think I would be designing it for 2 hours, okay? And if you have like any suggestion regarding the timing, whether it's mid of the day or at night as usual, then we can also talk about in our WeChat group or Blackboard group, okay? So let's start with the next slide. Okay, we were discussing chapter 7 and chapter 8, and we already talked about the covered interest arbitrage. Let's have a quick review. We talked about that covered interest arbitrage is that. Let me just slide the controls. It's on my screen here. Here we go. So it is defined as the process of capitalizing on interest rate differential between two countries, while, because this is covered, means that's why we use the covered the risk through forward contract, right? So what happened? So due to covered interest arbitrage, market forces realign the relationship between interest rate differential of the two countries. It means this opportunity will last for a very short moment of time because there are others who are also looking to capitalize or to make profit, right? When everyone starts to exploit this opportunity, what happened? The market realign or market into equilibrium. Market goes to equilibrium as well, and after that there will be no opportunity to make a profit. Then we talk about the interest rate parity, and what we talk about that country who has the highest interest rate, its forward premium would be higher, right? So interest rate parity, the formula is the forward premium is equal to 1 plus home country divided by 1 plus foreign countries, which is these I means interest rate, right? Not the inflation, it's interest rate. We are talking about interest rate parity. So most of the students, they think that we know that, but whenever I ask again, throw them questions, then they confuse this with inflation. So interest rate parity include interest. Inflation or purchasing power parity includes inflation. But the formula is the same, 1 plus the home interest rate divided by 1 plus the foreign interest rate. And if we want to do it into simplest term, it approximately equal to home interest rate minus foreign interest rate, which is in the next slide as well, right? So we know that there is another formula which can calculate the premium, which is forward minus spot divided by spot. So two ways we can find out the premium. Number one is through interest rate parity or through this formula. If we are not given this formula, use interest rate parity. That's it. Again, let me repeat it. So the interest rate parity says the premium on forward contract is equal to interest in home country minus interest in foreign country. This is forward premium. Good. And then we talk about that if you are acting to capitalize on interest rate parity, then remember do consider the transaction cost, because after transaction cost, maybe your earnings or your outcomes or your return are not what you expected. Also talk about the political risk. Anything can happen. The governments can change and the interest rate gonna be up and down according to the situation. You don't know because your time period is just 1 year, and in between anything can happen. Plus differential tax laws. Do consider the tax cost as well. Maybe in foreign country the tax rate is 50% and in your country tax rate is 10%. So you need to find out that whether after converting the return from foreign country to home country, I have to pay 50% taxes, which may be, which may, of course, decrease my return what I have expected, right? And then we talk about purchasing power parity. What does it say? It says the exchange rate. Which kind of exchange rate? Foreign currency exchange rate. Remember, this is EF, not E-home, right? This is EF, which means foreign exchange. The value of foreign exchange increase or decrease based on the difference between home inflation and foreign country inflation. The simplified or approximation of the PPP relationship is that the foreign exchange rate approximately equal to home inflation minus foreign inflation. The interest rate parity tells you the forward premium. That is interest in home minus interest in foreign. Right? And then we talk about that why purchasing power parity does not occur. Number one was co-founding effects, because exchange rate also depends on change in income, change in government control, and change in expectations about future rates. So this interest rate parity only consider interest. The purchasing power parity only consider the interest rate. The purchasing power consider the inflation. The interest rate parity consider the interest. So there are all other factors that can influence, and our result is not according to our parity. Number two was that maybe there is no substitute whatsoever, the parities are telling us, but since we are importing raw material or heavy machinery or something, so we don't care about the exchange rate or forward, because no matter how much is the interest rate, because our country is dependent on the country that is providing us the raw material. Okay, so the derivation, then we talk about that the international Fisher effect is that if we merge with the interest rate and the exchange rate as well, so we can just find out that the that was purchasing power parity. For international Fisher effect, it says that the exchange rate of foreign exchange rate, not the home, foreign exchange rate is equal to 1 plus, that is inflation in home divided by 1 plus inflation in foreign, or the foreign exchange rate approximately equal to inflation in home minus inflation in foreign. But this formula is for premium, right? We just talked about earlier. So it says that it provides the counter argument of the interest rate parity. It says sorry, I am wrong here. This is interest. This is interest. Let me just clear it. My bad. That is 1 plus interest in home 1 plus interest in foreign minus 1, or approximation is interest in home minus interest in foreign. So the interest rate parity says this is the forward premium, which is equal to home interest rate minus foreign interest rate, right? So this IFE, International Fisher Effect, provides counter agreement to the interest rate parity. It says if interest rate in one country is higher, it means in that country inflation is higher. And where the inflation is higher, that country's exchange rate must depreciate or decrease. Right? So if you understand, now let's talk about the concept checkers and practical examples. So I want your 100% participation here. Okay, everyone, please read this question and tell me the answer. I'm also going to be reading out the question. Here we go. Assume that US and British investors require a real return of 2%, which means in both countries, the real return is 2%. If the nominal interest rate is 15% in US and in British 13%, so according to IFE, pay close attention to what kind of parity or what kind of theory we are using. The British inflation rate is expected to be, and the US inflation rate and the British pound is expected to be dash. So find out the answer. So everyone, please participate.
Is it 15 minus 12, 13%?
What is the option here?
E?
D or B?
E.
You said E.
Egg. E
Ali
for egg.
said E. Carolina, Laura.
I also think it's E, 2% margin below appreciate by 2%.
Okay, Leo.
It's E.
Okay, everyone is saying E. Right, Sipade?
Yes. Yeah. It's
Michael?
E.
Anyone who has a different answer than E?
I also think
Okay, you are in a good shape. Well done, guys. Now answer this question. According to the International Fisher Effect, if Venezuela has much higher nominal rate than other countries, its inflation rate will be likely to dash than other countries and its currency will. What is the answer?
Is it C?
I think it's C too, higher and weaker.
Okay. Camila, why are you silent?
I don't know yet.